Hey y'all, I'm Jolene. Welcome back to Jolene Out Loud. Thank y'all so much for tuning in today. Today we have a special guest. I'd like to introduce you all to my therapist, Miss Katrina Davis Hicks. Hey, Miss Katrina.
Hello, Miss Jolene. Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
Doing good. It's sunny outside, so I'm doing great. Excited to be here with you.
Yes, ma'am. All right, y'all. I've been working with Miss Katrina in therapy for a little over a year now, and it has been amazing. I remember when we had our first session, it was like we had known each other for years. It just like instantly clicked. And I appreciate how encouraging Miss Katrina is and the way she creates a safe, judgment-free environment. I feel seen and supported during session, which is very important to me. And from the beginning, I could tell that she was dedicated to providing me with support.
Oh, that's
So,
wonderful. Thanks, Miss
yes.
Jolene. Making me
No
feel all gooey
problem.
inside.
That's all right. Okay. So, Miss Katrina, tell us a bit about yourself. What are some fun facts about you?
Sure. Well, I have a 7-year-old dog named Valcourt. Thinks he's a Rottweiler, so hopefully you don't hear him during this call today because he likes to interrupt me sometimes. I have three artistic, wonderful children that are very creative. I've been married for almost 11 years now. And I've been a therapist for, oh my God, almost 13 years. So
How
it's something
nice.
that I've been doing for a while. It doesn't seem this long, but it's just something that I think I've been called to do.
Okay. So, what inspired you to pursue a career as a therapist?
I mean, very interesting. I didn't start off wanting to be a therapist. I thought I wanted to be a doctor, until it got to the point where, you had to work on cadavers and things, and that just was not my thing. So I've always been interested in human behavior. My mom used to always watch like Dateline and other type of 2020 news shows. And I've always really just thought I could do that job. I could really be one of those narrators of these crime stories. So that's what kind of propelled me to into human behavior. Plus, people like talking to me. I've always been someone that people have always come to for, advice, and so that's kind of always been a gift that I think I've had. So I decided to do therapy just so I can reach other people. Also, being an African American woman, there's not a lot of therapists that look like me, and so it was very important for me to be kind of that forum for our community to have a space to really talk about the issues that really plague us. So I wanted to represent us, and definitely it's needed in our field, if that makes sense.
Yes, that makes perfect sense for sure. How would you define therapy and its purpose?
Sure. I feel therapy is an environment that should be sustainable for the person. Like, we want people to be able to come and feel free to express themselves in a non-judgmental environment, a laid back environment, which I like to have with my clients, because I want it to just to be a conversation. Therapy shouldn't be hard, but it should be a place where you can be you, where you can truly feel like you shine, where truly feel like you are important and supported. And so in therapy, that is truly what the purpose is. So it's to for us as therapists to meet people where they're at and help them to get where they need to be or where they feel they need to be. So that is the one of the most important things about what therapy is about. It's a place where you can go through the change process, but also feel like you can go through the change process of being the best you. So it's a place to heal, a place to, even if there's nothing challenging that's going on, it's just a place for you to come and just talk about you and your day,
Mhm.
and feel supported. Kind of like how you said, meeting me, feel like we were talking for years. That's a huge compliment because I do want people to feel like you're just having a conversation. I don't want to feel like I'm here and you're there. It's no, we're on the same page all the time.
Definitely. I appreciate that, Miss Katrina.
Ooh.
So, when a person is seeking therapy
Mhm.
or even before they start seeking therapy, how do they know when to ask for help?
Sure, and that's a very good question because I feel like sometimes we don't know how to ask for help. But I also feel like if you are struggling with just you, just the all the aspects of being human, because it's a lot going on in the world. And so I feel that when for people to seek out therapy, it's for extra support. And also, it's very hard for people to do it also because they feel like they're being judged. Therapy is a non-judgmental environment. You know, we are all human. We are not here to judge you, and you don't have to have this big, huge story to impress us because that's not what we're about. We're truly about, meeting you where you're at. And so, some people, when they come to therapy, they just tell me, I just don't get life. I just don't get life. Some people come to me because they've had a lot of past traumas. Some people come to me because they want somebody that looks like them to help them, with
Mm.
their life and what they're going through. So a lot of people come to me for different reasons, and a lot of people seek therapy just because they're trying to make ends meet in regards to their life, putting this puzzle together that we call life. And that is truly what I'm here for.
Definitely, for sure. So, what are some I think you did just say, like, some common challenges
Right.
that people face, when starting therapy, but I'll ask you again. So,
That's
what are some common challenges that people face when starting therapy?
Absolutely. A lot of challenges that people face when starting therapy is really just being authentic. I
Mm,
find that sometimes when you're talking to someone for the very first time, it's very hard to unload, and that's why sometimes when people come to therapy or seek me out, I like to do a consultation first just to know if we jive together, right?
yeah.
Because if in therapy, it's very important for you to find that person, and so people come to me for marital counseling, family therapy. That's one of my specialties. Anxiety, trauma, job stress, coaching. I do a lot of career coaching for people. Parenting, absolutely. I used to run parenting groups, and also anger management, separation anxiety, all sorts of depression, different diagnoses that people seek out therapy for. So even though I'm licensed as a marriage and family therapist, I'm still a therapist that can provide all sorts of therapy. That's kind of like one of my specialties out of many.
Nice. I didn't know you did coaching, Miss Katrina.
Well, thank you
Okay.
so much, Miss
I
Jolene.
may have to hit you up for some life coaching or something.
Absolutely, definitely.
Yes, I like that. Okay.
Thank you.
So, what should someone look for when choosing a therapist?
Absolutely. When choosing a therapist is very, very important for you to find someone that you feel um, good about, right? We can talk to people on the phone and we know if we have that, yeah, I can talk to them, or I don't think I can talk to them. And looking for a therapist is very important. The people find me a lot on Psychology Today. And in my bio, I have some of the strengths that I have. Like I offer a laid back environment. Some people want that, right? I'm virtual, meaning I don't go into office to meet with people. Some people want that. And so you have to really think about what do you want in a therapist? Look at their bios, look at their websites, really take into consideration what they're offering you. It's kind of like shopping, right? We want to find that
Mhm.
perfect purse, those perfect shoes, but they have to feel right, right? They have to go with your outfits. They have to be aesthetically beautiful, right? We have all these requirements, but we also need to have the same requirements for our therapist. You don't want to talk to just anyone. You want to talk to someone who you feel like, yes, this person definitely matches what I'm looking for. And that is truly important. You don't want to just talk to anyone. You have to jive. After my first appointments with people, I ask them, do you feel this could work? Do you feel I'm the therapist for you? Because if I'm not, that's fine. I want you to find someone that truly you match well with, because everyone has that person that they can truly just feel like they can gravitate to. And so that is pretty much what I think is important for looking for a therapist. Also, a lot of people, like I said before, want a therapist that looks like them. They want a therapist that has certain check boxes that check off areas in their life. And so you need all those things to make sure that you are actually with someone that you feel you can grow with. Because that's what therapy is about. It's about growing together. This is a very intimate relationship between a person and their therapist. So that you have to have someone that you feel you can build rapport with and you can trust.
Excellent. Yes, definitely. My next question for
Mhm.
you is, what are some challenges that you may face as a therapist?
Sure. Some challenges that, and we face a lot of challenges, are making sure that we are connecting with people. That's one of the biggest challenges I feel as a therapist that we have to navigate. We hold a huge responsibility, and so we also have to make sure that we are feeling okay, that we are doing our best. Sometimes we could be stressed out. We have to do our own therapy as well and seek therapy ourselves because we take in a lot. And sometimes the trauma that we take in order to help people, we don't want that to sit with us. So we definitely need to make sure that we are doing our own work of making sure we have a space to debrief. And so that's huge. I mean, other challenges, am I truly doing this right? We all face that as therapists. We don't have a magic wand. We don't know everything. We're not experts on anyone's life. You guys are the experts of your life. We're just here to help you navigate. But that can also be a challenge when people feel we need to fix them. We're not here to fix
Mm,
anyone. A lot of times when people refer to me, or parents may say, "Oh, can you fix my marriage?" or "Can you fix this person?" I'm not here to fix anyone because I can't fix you. What I can do is give some interventions and give some advice on how I feel, the situation can be repaired, but we don't fix anyone. I think that's one of our other challenges of that is being fixed and just making sure that we are taking care of ourselves. I can't stress that enough because it can be mindfully exhausting. It definitely can. So we have to make sure we're taking our breaks, we're walking away from our computer, and we're just coming back to ourselves so we can do a good job for our clients.
definitely, for sure. What are some of your favorite interventions and tools to use with clients?
Sure. I love vision boards because I feel like if we are going to work on changing ourselves, sometimes we have to visually picture this, right? When we picture our goals. So I love to talk about vision boards. I also love to talk about what is your self care routine? What are you doing? And I really challenge you a lot, Miss Jolene. What are you doing to take care of yourself? What are you doing? And so accountability is huge for me because if I don't hold you accountable, I don't know if you are reaching your goals. And I wouldn't be a good therapist if I didn't challenge you to reach your goals and to be the best that you can be with that. So I love vision boards. I love talking about self-care. Um, I also love for people to read. So sometimes I may find an article I think is very beneficial, and I'm a visual person. I might say, "Hey, this may work," or what have you, because I think those that's also helps. And just speaking to people in the way they need to be spoken to, creating this environment of being laid back. Because I'm a very very laid back person. I'm a real humble, open minded person, and that is what you get when you talk to me. Truly, that's pretty much who I am. You're not going to find any super califragilistic sayings or anything like that because I don't do that.
Mhm.
It's just not me. But it's important to just make sure that I'm meeting people where they're at and meeting people where they're at. Um, we use a lot of mindfulness, really making sure we are focusing on our mind, body, or our spirits, just figuring out where we are today. That's why I ask people, "What was your pros this week?" Sometimes we don't validate the great things that we do. We don't. I'll say, "What
Mhm.
worked well? What didn't work well?" Because I want to know what didn't work well in your week also, but I also want to know about your highlights because that's important. Therapy isn't always bad or tough or strenuous. It's supposed to be happy and a good time also. So I want to make sure I'm validating all those great things for people and helping them to validate themselves. And that's a really, really big intervention that I try to push with my clients.
Definitely, for sure. She ain't lying, y'all. Like, she definitely makes sure that I'm pushing, well, not pushing myself, but holding myself accountable, taking care of
Mhm.
myself, validating myself,
Absolutely.
definitely. So she not lying at all. My next question for you, Miss Katrina,
Mhm.
is what are some ways that people can care for themselves after session?
Absolutely. Because sometimes sessions can be difficult, right?
Mhm.
They can be emotionally draining. We can have some emotions during therapy where it might be really emotionally. I like for people to sit back and process what we talked about. You know, what did we say we could do to make ourselves better? I like a lot of journaling. Journal about how you feel. I like for you to be mindful. If you need a moment just to take a step back and do some deep breathing and to really be in a quiet space to really reflect. I want that reflection to happen, because and also using those interventions appropriately. If I say, if you're saying, Miss Katrina, I have a lot of anxiety, I can't function, I'm not doing this. One of the things I'm going to tell you to do is hold on, take a deep breath, breathe it out slowly. And now let's talk about what's going on. Sometimes we just need to reset. We just need to stop and listen to ourselves. So I want people to, after session, do some of the things that we talked about. If there's questions, they know they can always email me or text me or give me a call. But if you don't do the work outside of session, therapy is not successful. So work on your homework. I do a lot of reflection homework. You're not going to get a lot of do this worksheet and send it back to me. I'm not that type of therapist, but I will give you things to reflect on and to think about till next session, just to make sure that you are working up to but your greatest potential, because that is how I hold you accountable. And I'm gonna check in that next week.
Yep.
You know, what did you do with this intervention, or what happened? I want to make sure you are doing what we talked about. And if you're not, I'm not gonna say shame on you, because that we're still not judging you if you don't. Maybe life happened and you just weren't able to do it. Okay, well, let's have a reset and let's try it again this week. How are we going to be successful this week with it? So those are the things I push for people to do outside of session. Because you're not doing your own self work, then we're just talking. And I don't like to just talk. I like to see results, and I like to see that you are growing, in your process.
Yes, absolutely. So, how can someone make the most of their therapy session?
Absolutely. Showing up. That's the first thing, because we can have sessions where people can schedule and reschedule. But if you're not showing up, it's not going to work. Also, making sure you're being authentic. Sometimes clients feel like they have to paint this picture of a perfect life for me, that I'm sitting here like, hmm, I wonder what's really going on. Because I don't think they're being authentic. And if they're not being authentic, I just gently confront by asking just more questions like, well, how has that been going? Or how long has that been going on? Hmm. Well, that seems to be an area that we need to work on. So I want people to be authentic. You have to be authentic when you meet with your therapist, because they can't read your mind. They don't know what's going on. You can send an email saying A, B, C, and D is going on in my life. But if you don't talk about that during session, I'm kind of looking at you like, hmm, well, what's going on here? Because I know you
Mm.
called me and you said this was going on. So I will bring those things up, but people have to be authentic. They got to be honest. Even in my couple sessions, you got to be honest with me, because I can't help. You can't tell me, oh, it's going wonderful and super great, but then your spouse is like, this is not going great. So then I'm like, what's going on? So the biggest part of the therapy is to make sure you're being authentic and actually saying what's going on in your life, so we can be of help. We can't be of help if we don't understand what's going on, or if you're not being honest. Then we're just sitting here wasting each other's time, and I don't like my time being wasted. I want to make sure that we are really getting to the root of what we need to do.
Definitely. I like that, being authentic and getting to the root of what we're doing here.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So how can we work to reduce the stigma surrounding mental health and seeking therapy?
Absolutely. There is a huge stigma in the African American community and probably other communities of color about getting help. Because one, people feel like I'm telling you my business. Yeah, you are telling me your business in a way. Yes.
Mhm.
Another thing is you're judging me. We're not here to judge. No, I'm not speaking for all therapists because not all therapists are created equal, right? We're not. But that's why it's important to shop around and to talk and have those consultations to figure out, the therapist that you need. But making sure that we are definitely looking at ourselves and seeing what we need. In our community alone, people feel like I don't need help. We all need help. Even as therapists, we get therapy because we have to make sure we are checking ourselves and making sure we are handling any difficult situations and we're doing it to the best that we can. So yes, we still need to um, get help where we can. And so I feel like in our community, we don't feel like we need it. And it's difficult because we do need it. And what's been working out is that some people who I meet that don't believe in therapy and have met with me either because it was mandated by some agency or the court or by their parents end up loving it. And that's beautiful. But we also have to speak out about it. If you're in therapy and it's working for you, you speak out about it. Mental health does matter, right? It
Mhm.
does matter. If mentally we are not okay, we're not okay. We have the highest rates of trauma, of anxiety, of depression, especially when we think about post-traumatic stress disorder. We have a lot of things going on. Postpartum, we have a lot of that. Black women are the highest women to have miscarriages and out of any other race, right?
Wow.
That's
Yeah.
a lot that we deal with. We have stressors unlike any other ethnicity. We have a lot of stressors that contribute to medical issues. Why? Because we are not taking care of ourselves you know so what I do is I advocate for therapy. I talk about it. I try to wear different slogans on my shirts. I try to tell people, yes, I'm a therapist. You are. Absolutely. And then they're taken back like, wow, you look like me. I haven't met a black therapist, or I can't find a black therapist. So it's very important that we reduce that stigma by speaking out and advocating for mental health, because mental health affects everyone. Everyone deals with something. No one is perfect. And if we sit here in this hole and think that we're going to change ourselves, we're wrong, because we can't. And we need to actually seek out that support. Your best friend could be your best friend, but are they going to be biased? Probably,
Mhm.
probably. But a therapist, we're non-judgmental and we're not here to judge you. So it's better to kind of get, that from someone that's trained to help versus our friends, because sometimes we may be judged, or sometimes they might not be as authentic to us. So I think the biggest thing about mental health is understanding that we need help. Understand that we're not perfect. Understand that, yes, we can pray about everything. And absolutely, I think it's important to be prayerful, but mindfully that we can't just pray about situations and hope that they change. We got to do our own self work.
Yes. Mhm.
I can pray that I'll win a lottery. Is it going to happen? Probably not. But what are the
Mhm.
steps I'm trying to do to play the lottery? You have to do steps in order to get what you want in this world. And I think to alleviate some of this stigma, we have to make sure that we are taking care of ourselves. If you're in therapy, yeah, talk about your experiences with people. If you're really met a therapist that works, refer people to your therapist. Point people out to resources. Yeah, 211 um, is a great resource for people. Psychology Today is a great resource. Your own insurance panel is a great resource. And then if you don't have the money to pay for therapy, there are online resources, that you can look at. Calling number 988 is a crisis number for people to call when they need therapy. But we need to make sure we are sharing that with people because we don't know who needs us. And I don't have a problem telling people, yes, I'm a therapist. And people say, oh, you're a shrink. No, I'm a therapist.
Right. Mhm.
Just to make sure we're clear about what we do, and we're not here to judge. Someone was referred to me, thought I was just here to tell them what to do. No,
Mm-mm.
you're not going to tell me what to do. Nope. You have to tell your own self what to do. After we talk, if there's things that you took that were meaningful, use them, because I'm gonna hold you accountable if you don't. You
That's
know,
true.
that's true. Well, I think in our community, we have to advocate for change. We have to make sure people know it's okay to not be perfect. It's okay if we are struggling. It's okay if we are dealing with issues as in, like, for example, in the LGBTQ community. It's hard to be who you want to be. It's hard. And sometimes people don't understand you, but a therapist may be able to help you work through some of those things. So it's just making sure that we are advocating that for everyone, letting people know that mental health is checking in with someone mentally. If you know your friend is struggling, hey, you might need to talk to someone. If you're struggling, family member, you might need to talk to someone, and not being afraid to recommend someone to a therapist, and making sure you tell them, you look on these websites, you call your insurance panels, you look at these bios, you talk to these therapists. You make the decision of who you want to work with.
For sure.
That,
Mhm.
that's so important.
Yes, it is. Thank you so much for that, Miss Katrina.
You are welcome. Miss Jolene, can you share how you found me? How did you find me, Miss Jolene?
Well, Miss Katrina, it was a nice little journey that I had finding a new therapist.
Hmm.
I went on Psychology Today,
Hmm.
and that's where I found you. And I found a number of other therapists, and then I just began to call and contact different
Hmm.
therapists. I think ultimately I called my insurance company and I asked them to give me a list of providers who are actually covered, because when I would reach out to different therapists and I would tell them what insurance I have, they would say, "Oh, I don't take that insurance."
That's
So
so
I
great.
had to
Mhm.
actually call my insurance and ask them for a list of providers that are covered, and
Mm.
you were on my list. So I'm
Okay.
like, "Yes. Let
Yeah.
me call her." I remember I called and left a message, and then you contacted me back, and that's how it all began.
That's right. And so, yeah, you did your own work, right? You looked,
Mhm.
you made sure that, yes, absolutely. Am I in your network? Because
Yep.
it can be expensive, right? And we want
Mhm.
to make sure that people have access to care, but unfortunately, everyone doesn't have access to care. And hopefully, this is being worked on and changed. But I want also people to know that the United Way does spend money on making sure that counseling is a resource for people. Aurora Family Therapy, downtown in Milwaukee, that's where I got my training from, some of my training from. And they are a low a low fee free clinic for people because they're sponsored by the United Way. So therapy is accessible. We want it to be accessible. It's just knowing where to find that information is sometimes difficult.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I also want to say that support groups are
Mm,
another great option. They don't
absolutely.
substitute for therapy,
Right.
but it's a great place to be in community with other like-minded people and just get, feedback, get resources, and just be able to be in an environment that's another environment that's non-judgmental and also therapeutic, to be in an environment like a support group. So just
Absolutely.
want to throw that in there too.
No, their support groups are very important. Yeah, I ran a lot of support groups during my training. It is very important because you meet like-minded people who may be going through the same thing you're going through. And there's a lot of support groups online that are free
Mhm.
for people. And you're right, it doesn't substitute for your own therapy because even running a support group, we can't tend to everyone. You know,
Right.
we have
Yeah.
to fit in a group environment. We don't want, we keep everything confidential. Yes, but we can't have one-on-ones every group session. We got to get to the matter at hand and what the topic is, and then leave room for questions, but you still need to seek out your own therapist.
For sure. Mhm.
Absolutely. Very, very important.
Yep. My next question for you, in your own words, describe what it means for a person to heal.
Absolutely. Um, Healing journey is very important, because we all um, can have our own vision of what healing is. Healing to me, when I know that my client is truly at the space where they are healing, they are truly emotionally and mentally different. They are walking different. They're looking at their words and how they deal with people differently. They're working on their behaviors and what is different with that. And when they are walking in that glory of, wow, I have really worked through some of these things, boxes I've opened, that's where I know that they are on their process of a healing path. And that doesn't come easily, to know that we're in a healing space. Healing starts when I'm ready to confront what's bothering me. That's the first step. When I look at what's bothering me and I'm able to say, yes, I'm ready. I'm ready to do this. And when I'm walking in my own light, I'm doing my own work, outside of therapy. I'm doing my own work. I am feeling differently. I'm taking care of myself, because self care is one of my number one interventions that people must do. You got to tell me how you're taking care of yourself, because you're not taking care of yourself. This is not going to work. Because if you're depleted every session, I'm going to have to check in and figure out what's going on. Then, if we need to do medical interventions, we will, because we have to be real about it. Sometimes we do need medication to assist us with how we feel. And that's nothing we need to be ashamed about, right? But it also helps
Mhm.
us through our healing journey if we need something else in addition, like I say really strongly, in addition to therapy, right? You can take psychotropic medication and see your psychiatrist, but your psychiatrist is not a therapist, you know?
Mm.
Either your counselor, or we have different names. We could be social workers, we could be school counselors, we could be pastoral counselors, we could be marriage and family therapists like me, we could be trauma counselors. You just want to make sure that you are truly looking for who you need for at that time, or else you're not going to heal. You're going to be in this bubble. So healing begins when you're ready, and the change process can be difficult. You're going to have ups and downs. It's not going to be beautiful. And sometimes you might be mad at me, truly. And that's okay. We'll get over it together. But it's an okay sentiment that if I'm gently holding you accountable and you're upset with me, that's fine. But guess what? You're going to be better if you follow what we've been working on. You'll be better. And I'm not going to take it personally, but I just know that that was a difficult session. And it's okay for us to have difficult sessions. Everything's not rosy, but sometimes that's where people don't come back to therapy. If
Mm.
they feel it's too much, if they feel like I got held accountable, how dare you? Yeah, some people do feel that way, but that's okay, because maybe if I made you feel a certain way, maybe that might cause you to come back to therapy. And that's why some people are always in and out of therapy. It's hard to hear the truth about ourselves sometimes. And that's why it's important to make sure that the person that you're with is truly someone you can have an intimate relationship with and feel okay. I've been blessed to be full as a therapist, meaning that I have a lot of people that stick with me and really work very hard with me. And when I discharge them, it's emotional for them. It's emotional for me, because I know that, wow, we did this and we did it great. And it's always a window to come back. Hey, if you need help, I'm here for you. You know,
Yeah.
so it's a beautiful process to witness someone getting better. That speaks mounds for me as a therapist. That's like that's my stuff, right? That's
Mhm.
my why for doing what I'm doing, is making sure that people are changing. And if we're not changing, we got to figure it out. And if you're not changing and if you can't change with me, well, let's refer you to someone that can help you change then. And that's okay also, you know. So that's when I feel the healing process happens. I can see it. I can see it. And people like to say, wow, I feel, oh my God, so much better. You know, I've had couples that have been with me for years, not because they're doing poorly, but because it's taken this long. And that's okay. You know, therapy is sometimes not just 30 days or not just 60 days. Sometimes therapy can be a while. And so we don't want to discourage people either, but we also know that, you know, when we're ready to move forward, we move forward. It's a beautiful thing to be a part of.
Definitely. Thank you for that, Miss Katrina. I was
Yeah.
just about to ask you too, like, do you think that healing takes time?
Mhm.
Does it take work, or would you say both?
I would say both because healing isn't easy. That's the hard part in therapy is knowing when we truly are healed, and that doesn't happen overnight, but you got to do your work. You have to. If it's a traumatic event, and unfortunately, I have had clients that have been abused and or witnessed people even being murdered. It's hard to hear sometimes what people have been through. Very, very hard to people have been through. But if you don't come to the table and deal with that, it's going to continue to be there in that box and you're going to be triggered. So healing is almost quadruple fold, right? For one, you got to show up to session. You got to be authentic with me in order for us as therapists to be of assistance to you. You have to know what you want out of therapy. I ask people, how can I be of service to you? I don't say, what can I do for you? Or how can I help you? But I say, how can I be of service to you? Because this is truly a service that I'm providing, right? It's a
Mm,
service I'm providing, and you are paying for this service. So I need to make sure that I am meeting that expectation. So you got to meet that expectation as well, you know? And so you got to do your work outside of therapy. You got to show up. You have to be reflective. You have to own yourself again. You have to understand what you need. Also, some people lose loved ones and you just can't bounce back. That's hard
mhm.
to lose a loved one. And that takes a lot of time. But we also got to take it day by day. There's no rush in therapy. Sometimes people say, well, how long I got to be with you? Well, how long do you kind of want to be with me? You're the
That's
expert.
kinda how I felt at first, like, I gotta hurry up and heal so I can go on with my life and do what I gotta do, but no, like, it's a process and it
It's
takes
a
time.
process. It takes time. So if people have been with me for a while and feel like they're not moving, we reevaluate what those goals are. Well, where do you want to be? And sometimes people don't think they're changing, but I say, you were here when we
Mhm.
met. And look where you are now. That's change. You got to validate that. I can tell you all day, Miss Jolene, you're doing great. Miss, I can tell you or any of my clients you're doing great. I'm not going to tell you if you're not doing if you're doing great and you're not though. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything for you. If I feel you're struggling, I think you're struggling right now. And I'm trying to understand what's going on. You know, I'm going to hold you accountable. I'm going to gently confront you, but I'm never going to do it in a mean way. Never. I'm always going to do it from a very therapeutic, very person centered way where I can meet you where you're at so that, yeah, we can get through it together. Because truly, I'm in it with you. That's why it's so intimate with, your therapist. And, it's important because sometimes, and I also want to stress that when you're in therapy, make sure you are by yourself so that everyone's not hearing that conversation, making sure that it's truly in a space where you can be focused. And that's important with not, a lot of stuff going on, making sure that you are, doing something. And the beautiful thing about virtual therapy is that sometimes people are tending to their, cooking dinner, talking to me, they're stretching, talking to me. It's okay. Just put me on the floor. I'll talk to you, but even driving to work, I'm talking.
Mhm.
So as long as people have that space where they can truly be authentic, and then they can go through that healing process, but they got to do their work. So I think that was a really good question, Miss Jolene. In order to heal, you got to do stuff outside of session. You can't just do it when you're with me, because I know when you're not doing it. I know. I know when you're not doing it. So, and you're not here to impress me. I'm not one to be impressed. I'm just trying to figure out what's going on with you so I can help you. So your time isn't wasted or mine, but we're actually doing it together. That makes sense.
Yes, that makes perfect sense. Next question. What
Yeah,
role does the therapist-client relationship play in the healing process?
absolutely. One of the biggest important things for therapy is rapport. And when, as a therapist, we are trained to establish that therapeutic relationship. We try to do that from the first session because perception is key, right? How the first time you meet someone, you're going to have a lasting impression of them. And so when we meet people for the first time, for sure, we're going to do our paperwork and figure out what's the issue that we need to work on, not fix, but work on. But then also, after that, we need to figure out our playbook. Like, what are we going to do? You know? So I think that for one, with establishing the relationship, meeting that person where they're at is crucial. Meeting them where they're at and having that relationship where you trust me. You trust me with your emotions. You trust me with your feelings. You trust me with making sure I'm taking care of you. You have to be able to trust me. I have to be able to trust that you are going to do your work. You're going to respect the therapeutic process and you're going to show up, be authentic. So if we don't have a good relationship, it doesn't work. And I also want to reiterate, some people stay with a therapist that they're not aligned with. I just went with him just because, and no, fire them if they don't work. Well, not fire them, but you'd be nice. But you can just ask for a different therapist or ask for a referral. But you have to make sure that that person works for you. And that's why I asked after my first session with people, I just want to say, how does this work? Do you feel that I'm the person that you can work with that will help you with your needs? You know? And after they talk to me, like, oh yes, Miss Katrina, oh yes, you know? And if I'm not the person for you, then I will find someone for you. Sometimes we can start therapy and they say, you know what, I need a new direction. Absolutely. Absolutely. Because we're not here to um be upset about that because we want our clients to feel good. There's not a one fit for all, right?
Right. Mhm.
So that relationship with that person has to work, or else you're not going to work. So that's one of the biggest things is my relationships with my clients. Biggest thing to help them with their healing.
Definitely, for sure. I agree. Like sometimes, relationships they come to an end. So you got to move on and do what's best for you.
You have to move on to what's best for you. And especially if you don't feel like the person that you may be with is the person you want to be with, in
Mhm.
therapy. We're not going to be upset about that. We want to see you grow. Okay, well, how can I help you find someone that you may need? I may have to refer you because I might not have that expertise that you need. That's okay. And I do that. I think you might need someone that is more trained in this sort of modality, this sort of therapy so that you can get the best because I'm truly don't have that experience. I'm not going to pretend that I'm knowledgeable in all areas because I'm not. I know what my niche is, and that's another thing about finding that therapist that matches what you need. If you're looking for couples therapy and you're pulling up a therapist that only treats anxiety and they don't have a box saying couples therapy, you need to move on to a therapist that says couples therapy because they're telling you what they're skilled in. they're providing that. So I think that that part is crucial, and that just makes relationship better because you are with someone that already knows how to handle these situations, and your time isn't wasted. So
Right. Mhm.
very, very important for you to have that match of what you need, or else it's just not going to it's not going to work. It's not going to be successful.
Mhm. For sure. All right, Miss Katrina, is there anything else that you would like to share about healing, mental health, therapy? Any lasting thoughts you want to share?
Sure, sure. I just want to say that I think everyone needs to experience therapy. I think therapy, and me myself also. Um, I've of course I go to therapy. I have a therapeutic circle where we talk with each other as therapists and debrief, because it just helps to have that unbiased ear that we can call on. This has been a rewarding journey for me, to help people. I care a lot about my clients because I want to make sure that they succeed, and that's truly the path that I feel that God has put me on. He's made sure that this is where I need to be. And I think I'm pretty good at it. I don't know, but
I think you're pretty good at it too.
thank you. So it is something I'm passionate about, and it is something that I feel that I've been able to connect with many, many people in therapy. And so it's just one of those things that I really encourage people to do. Um, Talk to a therapist, you know, um, advocate for mental health with anyone, not just in our community, but with anyone. Be an advocate for that. Suggest that to people, because that's how we're going to remove the stigma. The stigma says that, therapy is a joke, that therapy doesn't work, that you're just in my business. No, I'm not. I had a gentleman that say, "You just want to be nosy." Well, if being nosy will help you, I'm your girl. You know, hey, that's what I want to do. But it's not that I'm here to judge you, because I'm not trying to do that. So in order for us to continue to get rid of that stigma, we got to advocate for our community that mental health matters. Mental health is huge. Take care of yourself. If you're struggling, let somebody know. Call 211, call 988 if you're struggling. Check out some of these online therapeutic forums that offer free therapy services. Check with your insurance, but make sure you're not suffering in silence because it doesn't work. Our girlfriends or family members or boyfriends or spouses or cousins, they only work for so long. Our teachers, they only work for so long. Then after that, it's on you to figure out what's going on in your life. So know what you want, be mindful, and get help if you need it.
All right. Yes, Miss Katrina, all of that. Yes. I like that. Thank you so much for being with us today
You
on
are
Jolene
welcome.
Out Loud. Thank you so much for sharing yourself with us, sharing your expertise. I really do appreciate you coming on here.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yes, no problem. So, all right, y'all. I'm going to say what I always say: like, comment, share, subscribe, do what you feel led to do. And we'll see you next time.
All right.
Bye.
Goodbye.